Educators can choose from a variety of EdTech tools to enhance their classroom activities. But with so many options available, educators can choose from a variety of EdTech tools to enhance their classroom activities. But with so many options available, technology can sometimes get overwhelming. You start by using one tool to create class content, another to assess students, then educators can choose from a variety of EdTech tools to enhance their classroom activities. But with so many options available, technology can sometimes get overwhelming. You start by using one tool to create class content, another to assess students, then another one for collaboration, and things can easily get out of control. Instead of saving time using technology, teachers end up spending more time switching between apps, moving data from one system to another, and trying to make various tools work together. There is actually a simpler, better way of teaching and learning online. Neo is a learning platform for schools and universities that provides all the essential tools for creating and managing learning activities. With an intuitive design, Neo makes learning an enjoyable experience for students and enables teachers to expand their activities beyond the classroom walls. Educators can build engaging classes suited for their teaching style without any technical knowledge and include their favorite resources and media files. With Neo, teachers can easily evaluate what students learn in classes using a variety of assignments such as quizzes, essays, debates, and more. Assessment is simplified using our grading tools and assignment types, and educators can keep all student results centralized in the gradebook. Teachers can get instant analytics on student progress and quickly identify areas where they might need additional help. To increase student mastery of subjects, teachers can define the skills and knowledge they should acquire through classes, then track on a competency basis how well they understand the concepts. Educators can make classes more dynamic and adapted to their needs using advanced, innovative functionalities such as automation and adaptive learning. You can trigger automated actions and personalize what content students see in classes based on their progress. Students have an enjoyable experience with Neo. Earning points and badges in games makes learning more fun and engaging. Also, being able to access Neo on any device makes students more self-directed learners and involved in activities even when they are not at school. Sign up now for a 14-day free trial and join the millions of happy Neo users. Educators can choose from a variety of EdTech tools to enhance their classroom activities. But with so many options available, technology can sometimes get overwhelming. You start by using one tool to create class content, another to assess students, then another one for collaboration, and things can easily get out of control. Instead of saving time using technology, teachers end up spending more time switching between apps, moving data from one system to another, and trying to make various tools work together. There is actually a simpler, better way of teaching and learning online. Neo is a learning platform for schools and universities that provides all the essential tools for creating and managing learning activities. With an intuitive design, Neo makes learning an enjoyable experience for students and enables teachers to expand their activities beyond the classroom walls. Educators can build engaging classes suited for their teaching style without any technical knowledge and include their favorite resources and media files. With Neo, teachers can easily evaluate what students learn in classes using a variety of assignments such as quizzes, essays, debates, and more. Assessment is simplified using our grading tools and assignment types, and educators can keep all student results centralized in the gradebook. Teachers can get instant analytics on student progress and quickly identify areas where they might need additional help. To increase student mastery of subjects, teachers can define the skills and knowledge they should acquire through classes, then track on a competency basis how well they understand the concepts. Educators can make classes more dynamic and adapted to their needs using advanced, innovative functionalities such as automation and adaptive learning. You can trigger automated actions and personalize what content students see in classes based on their progress. Students have an enjoyable experience with Neo. Earning points and badges in games makes learning more fun and engaging. Also, being able to access Neo on any device makes students more self-directed learners and involved in activities even when they are not at school. Sign up now for a 14-day free trial and join the millions of happy Neo users.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on Facebook Live. I'm Arlene Awayan, and I'm the Director of Customer Success for Cypher Learning, a company that provides the best learning platforms for schools, universities, companies, and entrepreneurs. Our webinar for today is entitled Be Your Best Online, Learner Engagement Strategies for Teachers in Front and Behind the Webcam. With COVID-19 locking down countries and cities worldwide, all industries have shifted to working from home and online learning. We have been forced to interact using web conferencing tools and make presentations on video with a remote audience, which makes it challenging to determine if we are creating a connection with our audience. All of us are still, in one way or another, very conscious of how we look or present ourselves online. So for many of us who need to sustain attention and interest, we ask questions like, how do I keep my learners engaged to me on the screen? How do I effectively capture and retain their attention? How do I present myself in front of the camera without being self-conscious? In this webinar, you will learn the tools on how to be your best telegenic self in front of the camera and how to understand your authentic self in order to effectively communicate to your learners. You will also learn how to adapt to the different learning styles of students online to ensure you retain their attention. We encourage you to post your questions, comments, and reactions in the comment section of this live stream. We will be selecting a number of questions for the Q&A later. So maybe we can start with a few emojis or hellos there in our live stream. So today we are very lucky to be joined by two industry experts in media production. Janina Ocampo Van Hoven rather, is a theater actress, commercial model, and host on air. And together with her is Richard Estueta, who is the president of DV Tech Media Corporation, who is now a content development partner of Cypher Learning. So let's begin by playing Janina's video.
Hi, I'm Janina Van Hoven. I'm Janina Van Hoven. I'm Janina Van Hoven. I am Janina Van Hoven. I am Janina Van Hoven. I am a host, an actress, and a model. It provides a fun and easy workout. I am so passionate about connecting with people, which is why I love acting. And as a host, I really love connecting with my audiences. Yay! Feeling the benefit of the lunch. I can feel it here. Well, as a matter of fact, it can. Chromecast works on your phone, laptop, or tablet. I am passionate about traveling and adventures. It's a good thing I have this. I do aloe ice on my skin, so this is where I took my body temperature earlier. With my Android TV box, I can just spend the entire day on this couch. I feel fresh and confident. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you guys soon.
Bye.
And I do hope I get to adventure with you soon. Ciao. I don't know what to not.
That was very exciting, right? So just a little bit of background of Janina. She has over 10 years experience in the entertainment industry. Her background in corporate brand and communications, along with her entertainment profession, allows her to marry both worlds to achieve authentic human connections, even in the online world. Okay, so I'm happy to introduce now, to talk about learner engagement strategies in front of the webcam, Janina Van Hoven.
Hi, thank you so much, Arlene. Thank you so much. Wow, that was some kind of an introduction. Thank you so much for having me here. I am very excited to be with all of you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone. I am Janina Ocampo Van Hoven. I know that a lot of you are tuning in from all parts of the world. Thank you so much for having me. I am truly excited to share with you all of the learnings that I've had throughout the years. So as Arlene had mentioned a while ago, I am an on-camera host. So I have been a host for 3 years now on camera and off camera for around 10 years. I've also been doing commercials for more than a decade. And I am a theater artist, and I've been doing that also for more than a decade. And on the side, I do training workshops like this, and I do workshops for children in Repertory Philippines, or I used to do that. So I'm familiar with both worlds, and I'm excited to share with you all of the little tips and tricks that I've learned in order to engage and truly communicate and connect with your students. So if you will please allow me, my presentation today is all about how do I keep my learners engaged online. There we go. All right. So I know all of us are teachers. All of us are truly trying to adapt to this new normal of taking our lessons online. Let me begin with this. All right. Let me begin with a quote which truly resonated with me. Teaching is an accomplishment. Getting students excited about learning is an achievement. And I know all of you teachers, principals, all of you educators can truly resonate with this statement. And you have been for a long time, up until the pandemic happened. And then suddenly we're here online. All of our classes have now shifted to Zoom conferences or StreamYard or all of these different platforms. And suddenly, how are we supposed to get our children, our students excited about learning if we can't even connect with them? And that is why I'm here, to teach you exactly how to connect with your students. How do you still maintain that energy to connect with them? So today I'll be teaching you two main things. The first are tips and tricks on how to engage with your students for your live classes. For example, you have a schedule at 8 a.m. with, let's say, preschool. And then let's say you have a one-on-one at 10 a.m. Anyway, it's really live classes that you conduct with your students. And second is, how do you conduct yourself in front of a camera for pre-recorded classes, which you either upload or you send to the parents for your students to watch them? Okay, so these are the top 10 strategies for online teaching. Let me begin with number 1, which is a very common thing all across different industries, not just for teaching. Make a good first impression. And I know you're probably asking me, what does that mean? And how am I able to do that via a screen? Well, it's very simple. It's exactly the same way you would do it when you're in front of them personally. So that includes, first, what you wear. It is so important to think about your attire when you're presenting, when you're teaching a class, especially from your home. So think if you don't have a uniform, a school uniform, I would suggest wearing something bright or something just very neutral so that your students really just look at your face, look at you, and not get too distracted about what you wear. But of course, make sure it's something that you feel good in. Because if you feel good from the inside, like if you feel good about the way that you look, about the way that you are being presented, then you present better, then you teach better. So it all begins here. Second is your facial reaction. Ensure that when you talk to your students, you look at the camera and not at the monitor. I don't know if you can see the difference now, but I would like to show you. So here I'm looking at the monitor and saying, hi students, and I'm looking at all of them. Hi, welcome to the class. If that's the first thing they see, it's all right. But it's a huge difference from, hello and welcome to the class. I'm so happy that you are here to join me on this beautiful Saturday morning. That made a huge difference. And all you had to do was look at the camera and make that connection with them. And smile, because that lifts your face and that automatically lightens the room. And lastly, how do you welcome them? To make a good first impression, your welcoming is truly what will set the tone for the entire class. So normally, and this happens quite frequently, there is a lag between online platforms and when you go live and when it goes live to your students. So what I would do 5 seconds before I press play, I would already look at the camera and smile. So that when the moment that they log on, they see a smiling professor. Versus, this is option 1, when you don't do that. So for example, I'm bubbling and I'm on. It says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, hi. Is that how you want to set the tone? Versus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi. So no matter what, when they see you, you are looking at them and you are smiling. And trust me, that makes a world of a difference. Tip number 2 is your posture. It is so important, especially now that we are teaching 3 to 5 hours a day and you're seated. It's so important for your health. So it's not just for your students, but it's for you. It's important for your health that you're able to maintain a good posture so that you don't develop backaches and so that you're able to maintain your energy all throughout that you need for your different classes. So I would suggest to anchor yourself, place your feet firmly on the ground and lift yourself up. And that's how you teach. So apart from giving yourself a complete line of energy from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head by anchoring yourself, it also makes a difference when you conduct your classes and when you engage with your students. So I'm talking to you now, completely anchored. Here, let me show you. This is my position. So it's very easy for me. My body movements are big. If I need them to be big, I'm able to move myself backwards and forwards and just feel comfortable. And I know that I can keep this all throughout my 4-hour classes. Versus if I teach like this. So hi, welcome to the class. Today we're going to be learning about this. And so you know it makes a huge difference because for you, you don't feel as casual. So even if you're not in a classroom setting, your body tells your mind exactly where it needs to be, and it sort of puts you in the right headspace for all of your classes. Apart from keeping you healthy, keeping you from having backaches and all of those other body ailments. Another thing is, I would also suggest if you can to stand up, because standing up also gives you more of that energy. It elevates your energy and gives you that boost that you need. But I would refrain from doing this for 4 hours because that's exhausting. If you have, let's say, a class where you have movement classes or physical classes, then definitely do that. But otherwise, just sitting down and sitting up straight is more than enough. Tip 3, passion. Passion. Be passionate. Be passionate about what you're doing. And I know you all are. Being a teacher is a calling. And for you to continue being an educator is definitely something that you're passionate about. And when your students see that you're passionate about teaching them, about imparting wisdom, about teaching them different lessons, that's contagious. For example, me, when I see somebody on stage or even when I'm having dinner and somebody talks about their profession and they do it they're very passionate about it, then you can't help but ask them more questions. You can't help but engage with them and you connect with them and there's this energy that you feel. And even when you're behind the screen, if you take that passion of teaching with you, I promise you, I guarantee you that will break through the screen and go to your students. I promise you that. Next tip, have a plan B. And I know teachers are so used to this. Us educators, we truly, truly need to plan. We plan for A, B, C to Z all the time. But what are the different kind of issues that we experience online, which we wouldn't normally have to go through in our classroom face-to-face classes? So I've listed some common issues and maybe we can go through them together and I can give you some tips and pointers. First, your Wi-Fi dies in the middle of your class. Oh no, what do I do? 15 minutes into my class and oh no, my husband or my daughter or the connection just suddenly stops. And that automatically will disengage your students from your class. What I would do is, before every class, I'll make sure that I have a pre-recorded class already ready. And for example, if my Wi-Fi dies, I can easily just turn on my LTE, have the link ready and say, hi class, we're experiencing technical difficulties. Please tune on to this link. This will be the module for the day, and I will be back on in 20 minutes. And if you're not on in 20 minutes, make sure you have another link or send them a picture or give them an assignment. Always just make sure that you have something prepared. Another, you freeze. Your video freezes, it lags, but you can still hear everyone. So there's still a discussion ongoing, but you can't see what they're doing. Now, the last thing that you want to do is say, wait, class, hold on, I can't see you, please, everyone stop. I would really discourage against that because what you're doing is you are cutting off the energy of your class. And it would be different if you were in a classroom because you can feel energies. And for foreigners, this is something that's very Filipino, but Filipinos, we listen with our bodies. See, with Filipinos, the biggest sense that we have is our bodies. And that's how we anticipate the needs. That's how we sense if our students are truly listening to us, engaging with us. We listen when they are around. But Filipinos are experiencing a true difficulty in translating this kind of listening energy online because we don't have that physical distance anymore, that physical connection. So what I would do is I would say, okay, for now, I would like, and then you say, somebody please volunteer. And the way we have now in this presentation, you can easily say, okay, the first person to type in I am the volunteer will be, I don't know, the class clown and will sing a song for us or something. Just make sure that you know your class and you play to their strengths and you always have something prepared and you have more or less a volunteer in mind to say, okay, can you tell us your answer or can you share with us what happened today? Or it can even be an activity of, okay, now while we are waiting for, let's say, this thing to load, I would like everyone to please let's have an icebreaker. List down your favorite pet or a memory of your pet or something like that. Just make sure that you have an improvisation, something to prepare for them. Next, your student's Wi-Fi goes on and off and they miss a part of the lecture. Now this happens a lot. Student comes back on. Miss, sir, I'm so sorry, my net died, so I wasn't able to capture. What did you say, sir? That means that, and you actually don't know when they logged off, has it been 10 seconds, 10 minutes? So what you do is before the class, you tell them, if in any case your Wi-Fi goes off, please come back into the class and list down where you went back on. And you as a teacher, because you already have a plan, you can easily say that I will send you what you had missed and we can discuss it after our class. But don't go back and say the lesson again, because for the students that have already been listening in and did not miss it, they will get distracted so easily and they will tune out. Another, your teaching material hangs or doesn't load. What I would do if your teaching material hangs is I would exit that and then just have a conversation like this. Talk about it, improvise, talk to them very spontaneously, and you will surprise yourself because you actually know the material and you probably could do better than that material. And lastly, and this happens all the time, not just for teaching, but even for any kind of online conference, noise distraction. Your baby cries, your dog barks, a truck passes by, the rooster crows, anything can happen, the electric fan. What I would do is I would actually list down all of these noises that constantly happen and think of a way to twist it around. So for example, I'm teaching about different parts of the body and my baby cries and you can't ignore it. The last thing that you want to do is ignore it and just keep going on. Or even worse than that, the baby's crying and you speak louder like this. What happens is when you throw in all of these barrage of senses and noises to your students, their brain will shut off because they are overwhelmed. So what I would do is I would incorporate it and say, okay, I hear a baby crying. What parts of the body do you think are they using? Or if a dog barks, oh, I hear a dog bark. Who here has dogs? Find a way to embrace all of these issues and make them work for you. That truly will separate you and help you engage with your students compared to teachers who don't really make those plan B, C, D, E, F, G. Next tip. And my next two tips actually have to do with just a little bit of a difference from the last tip of planning. This one allows you to break it a bit. Play. As a teacher, it's so important that you play, that you're spontaneous, that you allow some kind of surprises to enter your class. So if you have a set script or a plan, don't read it. I suggest don't read it. Go off book. You already know this. You prepared for this. You have been doing this your whole life. When you're in front of a classroom face to face, you don't have notes and say, hi class, my name is teacher blank, and today we will be, no, you never do that. So that doesn't mean that you should do that here. You know it. So what you do is have bullet points. And what I would do personally is I would actually put my bullet points right beside my camera. So you don't teach your class and look at your bullet points like this. So, okay, like this. My next question is versus, okay. So my next question is, what if? How would you do this? You see what I mean? So you don't break the connection with your students and your eye line doesn't shift as much. Another thing is, if you're spontaneous, it definitely lightens the mood and it's a lot more engaging for your students. Also, this for me is so important, and I'm sure all of you have your stories about this, but leave room for magic. What do I mean about that? And what do I mean when I say that? And this has to do also with being open to anything and everything and just letting positivity be in your space and really just embrace the positives that could happen. So I just want to share a little bit of magic that happened when I was teaching. So I was teaching in a workshop with Repertory Philippines, and my students were 6 to 8 years old. And I had this parent who had approached me and said, you know what, teacher Janina, I have a son, he's 5 years old, and you know, he's very smart and he's very active. And I was wondering if maybe I could enroll him. Would that be all right if you make an exception? And this kid seemed really to really love engaging with students, with kids, other kids his age, especially older kids. So we made an exception and we had him join the class. And in the middle of our classes, because this was a summer workshop, in the middle of the workshop, I noticed that this student was kind of aggressive. Like he would push if he didn't get what he wanted, and he would grab things, and he would just be physical, not violent per se, but it wasn't being bratty. And so when I talked to the parent about it, apparently he was in the spectrum. And she had thought that she had told me about it. Maybe she did, and it wasn't listed down in the registration form. But he was in the spectrum, and if he doesn't get what he wants, what he does is he pushes or he grabs, and he does it in I would say in a playful manner, because nobody really got hurt. So at the end of the workshop, what happens is we put up a kind of a presentation, kind of like a showcase. And in the showcase for that year, we were doing High School Musical. And whenever you have showcases, you teach them songs, you teach them dances. They have to memorize lines. So me and my co-teacher, we had to think, how do we get this 5-year-old, quite aggressive boy to listen to us and to be excited, because he was quite disruptive in the classes. He was quite disruptive when it came to actual practices, but during the game part, he was so energetic, and he would actually get all the other students excited about it. So we wanted to play to his strength. What we did was we actually had 2 dance numbers, 2 musical numbers in the workshop where you have to play tag. And he became the star of that number. And his parents were so happy. Like they went to us afterwards and they were crying because they said they never thought that their son would present himself that way, because he had a difficult time connecting with other kids and taking instruction. And I don't think that any kind of planning would have taken us magic had happened. But if you are open to it, and if you listen to your students and truly listen, not just because they said they never listen with your body, listen with your mind, would then magic himself that way, because he had a difficult time connecting with other kids. Another thing, and taking instruction. This is an interesting topic. I don't think that is energy. So for all of those who have been teaching, all of you have already been teaching on magic had happened. You know that the energy that you need is times 5 what you would have in a personal face-to-face classroom. I guess our question for energy online is, have lots of it, and how do you do that? So before I tell you how you do that, I kind of wanted to give you just a little sneak peek of the energy that you need to be able to get to where you want to go when it comes to the camera. So as I said a while ago, I have been doing commercials for a while, and that is where I truly understood the level of energy that you need to maintain and the level of energy that you need to push. So for example, if I want my students to see me having 100%, I gotta give 800% of myself. This is an example. So this is a commercial that was released last year. This is the final edit. I would like to share this with you.
Linang gising, bubuhayin ko sila with Del Monte Pineapple. Kanin na hero! Sa chongge pinihang manok na luto ko. Pinya sarap!
Okay, so did you see that? Did you see that short portion where I had to do hang manok na luto ko? That's it. I just had to dance, right? Seems so simple. You just have to dance. This is what happened backstage, behind the scenes.
Linang gising.
Tuloy mo lang yan.
A whole production. I was moving my body, moving everything. If you need to see more of that, this is also what happened.
5, 6, 7.
Just to get that one portion to make me seem like I was happy, I had to give 1,000%, do everything just to make it seem like I was happy. It's that kind of energy that you need for your students to feel the energy that you want them to receive. Another example. So this is a different commercial that I did. Okay. And this is what happened behind the scenes.
Why now, Daddy? Fix it! Why?
Just to get that split second of Daddy, fix it. I had to use my whole body. I had to do this 1,000 times, using my whole body, using all of your voice projection, just to get that what seemed like a fourth of the energy that I was giving. You have to give a lot of energy when you're in front of the camera. I think if you keep that in mind every time you go on, it will help condition your brain to know the kind of energy level that you need to be at. So I think the question here is, Janina, I don't have endless amounts of energy. I am a work from home mom. I am a wife. I am a homemaker. I am not just a teacher, but let's add that to the mix. I have to do all of these other things. I don't have endless amounts of energy. How am I able to give that energy that I want my children, my students to receive? Here are some tips just to make it easier for you and make life a little bit more bearable day to day. So what I would do is I would actually ask my students some questions. So if you ask questions, then you're actually throwing the energy back and forth. Other things is have them do things for you. But more importantly, the best way to have energy for your students is to energize yourself. Always remember that self-care is the best way to fill your tank. So personally, me, before I do my hosting online or when I host these webinars, or even before I do a commercial, what I do is I think of the things that help me re-energize. So that's morning time. Every morning I listen to praise music, and it just gets me in a headspace of gratitude, and it just helps me get started throughout the day. Another thing is, for example, in between my hostings and webinars, I always make sure that I inject 10 minutes, 15 minutes to stretch or do a little bit of yoga or even do some running just to get myself out of it and fill my tank again. Another thing would be, I don't know, when you wake up in the morning, just give yourself the time to check your phone, scroll through social media, watch an episode of your favorite TV show that energizes you. Or another thing, and this one is so important, is know how to set boundaries. If you feel like your energy is completely depleted, or even before it's completely depleted, know when to say no. Be gentle with yourself, because you cannot give energy if you don't have it. So even with your bosses, tell them beforehand. Say, would it be possible if I have, let's say, 3 hours teaching and then give me an hour break and then we can do 2 hours after? Because I want to be the best teacher for them, and I know myself, and this is getting to me. So I just need that 2-hour window to myself so I can come back stronger. And trust me, if you have that communication with your bosses, they'll understand. This is a new normal. We're all adapting, so they'll understand. Next tip, engage, involve. Janina, that's the whole point of this webinar. How do I engage with my students? How do I connect with them through this screen? How do I do that? Well, there are a lot of tips that I can give you, but there's one lesson for me, and I guess one teaching, one quotable quote that really resonates, and it's experience is the best teacher. So I want to share with you a picture. This is probably my most memorable classroom of sorts. This is where I first learned how to bike. I was 8 years old. I was not an athletic kid at all. I was staying with my cousins and my tito and tita at that time while my parents were away on vacation. And all of my cousins who were my age they knew how to bike, and I didn't. And my tito, every afternoon, he would take me right outside their house, and this was our cul-de-sac. and he would put me on the bike. He would stand beside me, push me, run with me, teach me how to pedal, and let me fall. And he would get me back on that bike, even if I didn't want to. And he would let me pedal, let me pedal, let me bike, slowly letting go. It took 2 weeks for me to learn how to bike. But that is probably one of the most memorable lessons I've had. And it didn't happen in a classroom. And that's the thing. When you teach our students, which is already what you had been doing in the classroom, the best way for them to absorb and engage is to involve them. Let them experience it. Now I try to think maybe it's because I was just happy to learn a new skill. Maybe that's why I learned how to bike. But no, that's not the thing. That's not the thing. For example, if my tito had built a built-in classroom in their den and said, Janina, I'm going to teach you how to bike. This is how it looks like. Okay, let me first teach you the parts of the bike. Okay, this is the chain, this is the pedal, this is the crank. And then these are the different steps that you need to do. Okay, so you need to maintain balance. So maintain your forward motion, apply sufficient force to pedal with one foot. Okay, these are the different steps. And then what I want you to do is hand in a paper about the evolution of bikes. And then I want you to give me a thesis on the history of bikes and who are the best bikers in the world. And then I want you to watch these videos and then send me another report. And if you get an A, then you learn how to bike. I honestly think if my tito made me do that, I would have been like, no thanks you, tito. I'm gonna pass on that one. So what's the point of the story? The point of the story is let your kids experience as much as they can. Even now when we're online, try to make your lessons as synchronous as possible. Try to, in simpler words, take it offline. What doesn't need to be online, have them take it offline and do it. And then come back online and you discuss it so that they can do it. But if you can't do that, here's some other tips. So as I said, you learn by doing, you engage by involving. Some tips. First, ask them questions. If you can't take it offline, try to get your class to be more engaging by asking them questions. The more questions you ask, the more involved they will be and the more engaged you will be with them. Another is get physical. Ask them to do something physical. For example, and this doesn't have to, of course, for the preschoolers, you say, okay, we're teaching about the sun. Let's do Mr. Sun, Mr. Golden Sun. But we don't all have preschool students. We have collegiate students. We have MBA students. We have teachers who are students. So get physical. What do I mean by that? If after 30 minutes you feel like they're losing focus, tell them stand up. Okay, everyone stand up. Move your body, stand up, get your blood flowing, and come back down. So just allow your body to regain itself, to regain the energy that it's lost from sitting down and just using your brain. Another is elicit a reaction. So give them something to react to so that you ignite other parts of their brain and their body and their heart. And that will get them more involved with you. That can either be send them a video or show them a picture or scream. Elicit a reaction. Get a reaction from them. Or another thing that I would do is I would ask for a volunteer. Because what happens when you ask for a volunteer, and I'm sure you already know this, but when you ask for a volunteer, actually your students are more focused because they see themselves in the shoes of that volunteer. And when they see themselves in the shoes of that volunteer, they're more likely to resonate. They're more likely to engage and connect with you. Next tip, and I know you all know this, but I want to say it even more so now that we're going online, is practice. I know teachers are daunted, and not just teachers, but everybody now is daunted about going online, about connecting and teaching students online, or even recording yourselves, pre-recorded classes. How do I speak to a camera? I am not built for this. I love my job. I love my job. I love my job. I can see so many teachers, and actually everybody now is saying that. But the good thing is, speaking online, speaking to a camera is not a talent. It's not something you're born with. It's a skill. It's something you can learn. So all you need to do to develop a skill is practice. So that's what I'd like you to do. Just get at it. Your first week might be absolutely terrible, but that's 1 week down, and that's 1 week of lessons that you learned. 1 week of experience. Just get at it. And once you continue practicing, I guarantee you will get better. I guarantee you. My last tip is pressure. Take it off. At the end of the day, there are bigger issues in life than if your class goes wrong. Take off that pressure, because what that pressure does is it just adds weight and weight and weight on you. And as I said in the beginning, this is not the kind of class that you want to be teaching with this kind of energy. It's this. And with this kind of energy only comes about if you remove all of the pressure. You got this. You are teachers and you are called to teach for a reason. Now it's just changing mediums. You got this. Okay, so I hope you're all still with me. If you're all still with me, please press number 1 or type some comments there, because the next part of it, I'll briefly talk to you about I'll give you some tips on recording tape classes. And this is definitely something that I am familiar with, because when I host on air, all of them are taped, but I have to make it seem like I am speaking to you, the viewer. So these are words of wisdom, tips of wisdom that I've learned throughout the year. The first, and I know a lot of people are thinking, how am I supposed to talk to a person, talk to my students, and make it seem like I'm having an actual conversation with them and not robotics like this? Because whenever I'm in front of the camera, I end up becoming really, I have stage fright, so I end up becoming really robotic and my smile becomes like this. So that is something that we all experience. What I do to break that and to make it seem more personal is I think of that one person who I would like to share this lesson with, whatever lesson I'm imparting, or let's say if it's a presentation, who do I want to give the presentation to? And I either put their name beside the camera or I put their picture. And every time you look at the camera, you see them. And it helps you personalize it. It helps you have a conversation instead of having a monologue where you're just a deer in headlights and afraid. So to personalize, think of that person who softens you, who makes you feel comfortable, who makes you feel natural. Another tip to personalize when you make your videos is be yourself. We all have idols that we want to be. Personally, me, as a host before, I said, okay, I want to be the Christian Amanpour of the Philippines. Whenever I do my online hosting, my on-air hosting, I want to be Christian Amanpour. But girl, that was a reality check when I first did it, because I'm no Christian Amanpour. I'm so perky and bubbly, and I'm not as sophisticated as her. I'm a lot more casual and conversational. And the first few takes that I had trying to be Christian Amanpour, I was so robotic, and it seemed so inauthentic. And it was only after I realized that, hey, that's not me. That's not me. I'm trying to be somebody else. Let's be me. So what I did was I asked the people who are closest to me, I said, give me 3 ways that you would describe me. And all of them had said, you're energetic. And so I said, things that I had trying to be Christian Amanpour, and I found my brand. And I found it seemed so easy to communicate, which seemed natural to me. So that's what I want to tell you. For all of your pre-recorded classes, be yourself. Do not try to copy somebody else, because in the end, it's going to work against you. Next, pace. When you conduct pre-recorded classes, always make sure that you change the pace of your words, because by changing the pace of your words, you get them to focus. You see? You see what I did there? I changed the pace of my words so that I could get you to focus. Now, just some guidelines. When you use a slow pace, it makes your audience interested. It adds suspense. So use that. Fast-paced is great because you get them excited and you get them energized and you get them involved. But at the same time, if you keep talking like this, what happens is they kind of tune off. And apart from that, what it makes it seem is like you're nervous or you're scared. So always make sure that when you use your fast-paced, you use it sparingly. And lastly is add pauses. Make sure there are moments of breathing time. Pause, breathe, relax. So what I want to do is I just want to very quickly demonstrate to you the use of pauses. So this is a quote that I have from Roald Dahl. This is how I would read it without teaching. And above all, watch with glittering eyes the whole world around you, because the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. Roald Dahl. I didn't change the pace. I read it as it is. But now let's inject that. Let's inject some of the lessons that we learned. And above all, watch with glittering eyes the whole world around you, because the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. You see? I made it more interesting. And you listened, you focused, and you understood it better. Next, body language. Have an open body language. The last thing you want is to greet your students like this. Hi guys, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining our class. I'm so excited. We're gonna have such a great time. I think you need to see my body here, so let me move back. Hi everyone, I'm so excited. We're gonna have a great time today, so please come join us. So, versus, hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a great time, so please stay tuned because I have so much in store for you. You welcome them. See, body language changes everything. But also when it comes to body language, make sure that you don't overdo it. Use your body, but what I like to call is functional gesturing. Unless you need to use your body, then you don't have to be moving around because you end up becoming more of a distraction than a point of focus. Next, if you're doing pre-recorded classes, watch your playback. I know in the beginning you'll say, oh, I hate watching myself. Okay na yan, that's fine. I hate what, and then when you watch yourself, you're like, oh my gosh, I look really bad. Oh, why did I say it like that? Oh no, my students are going to judge me. Let me tell you this. No one is going to judge you. First of all, this is completely unnatural. You were not meant to teach online. The pandemic made this happen. Second of all, people now are a lot more understanding. They know that you're having a difficult time and everyone is rooting for you. And lastly, and possibly the most important, you are your worst judge. My gosh, I am my worst judge. I am my most critical judge. But when you show it to other people, it's fine. So watch your playback, and instead of judging yourself, try to turn it into a positive and say, oh, I could do that better. Instead of, oh man, that was really bad. That was really bad. I can't do this. No, I'm not made for this. No, I don't want to do this. I'm out. Or, oh no, I said that wrong. Or, oh, okay, that's not a good. Try to, when you watch your playback, try to inject your self-comments with positives instead of negatives, and you will see a difference when you record it again. Also, with your playbacks or with your classes, be open to feedback. Show it to the people who are important to you and ask them, say, what did you think of this? Did you understand the lesson? Are there ways that I can improve? Because as I said a while ago, you are your worst judge. And sometimes all of those negatives that even if you say you'll remove them, they're still there. They will always be there at the back of your mind. It's just human nature. So it will cloud the way that you actually view your class. But if you open it up to other people who truly care about you, who love you, and who want to help you teach, then they'll give you very good and critical feedback that you will be able to use, very practical feedback. So be open to that and show those people. Another thing, consistency is key. If you notice when you watch shows or when you watch all kinds of classes, those that are pre-recorded, it's a consistent energy that the host or the educator maintains throughout. So the reason why you want to watch your playback is you look for the last place where you stop. You take note of your energy level there, and you jump off from the same energy. Because it's very distracting for a student if they watch you. And for example, now I'm saying, let me think of a song. Colors of the Wind. Let's say I'm trying to teach Colors of the Wind. And I started off with, you think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. Pause. And then let's say you have your coffee or you have water, and then you come back and then you record again. And you didn't remember the energy that you had stopped on. And you come back and, but I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think you know whatever people are the people who look and think like you. Pause. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you learn things you never knew. 3 different energy levels. And when people watch, you're trying to give one message, but 3 energy levels give 3 messages. So be consistent. Watch your playback so you know how to be consistent and how to connect, how to make that consistent line all throughout your class. And lastly, this whole process of teaching online, it's a journey. It's not a destination. Every class is a journey. Every time you go online, it's one step of your journey. It's not the end point. The end point is, it could be even for yourself, that you want to be a better teacher. And even just having that in mind will help energize you and help push you to try and be better the next class. So because we know this is not a journey, enjoy the ride. You'll make mistakes, but you'll learn from them. Your class could bomb. It could be, you could end the class and say, wow, that was terrible, which I have a lot of, by the way. Because that's not one of my best ones. But take it. Don't beat yourself up because you're doing your best. You're doing a great job. And you are called for this. You are called to be a teacher. It's a different medium. And yes, you do have to learn, but you are called to do this. So I guarantee you will do a great job. Enjoy it. So I want to end my presentation with this quote. Technology is just a tool. In terms of getting your students to work together and motivating them, the teacher is the most important. You are the commodities. You are the most important. Technology is not a barrier. It is your tool. But you are the reason why your students tune in. Good luck to everybody, and I hope you learned something. Thank you so much.
Oh my, thanks, Janina. I am so inspired by your presentation. This is the second time I've watched you, but I still learned a lot from you. I think my
I'm glad.
my 2 key takeaways were energy and authenticity. So, and it's something that we really have to practice as teachers, right? As educators. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, for everyone who has questions, please feel free to continue posting them on our Facebook feed. So up next, we have the president of DV Tech Media Corporation, Richard Estueta. Having a degree in manufacturing engineering and management, he built his technical career for more than a decade on operations management in the FMCG supply chain environment. Realizing the integral role of learning and development in an organization's success, Richard used his skills in communications and training to improve operational efficiency of the supply chain through the proper application of various productivity techniques. His love for technology and passion for learning, teaching, and continuous improvement led him to start a digital video production company in 2002. DV Tech Media Corp since then has focused on creating training video materials that caters to the varying learning needs of organizations to become more effective in their pursuit of growth. So without further ado, take it away, Rich.
All right. Hi, everyone. Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone watching today. It's very hard to follow Janina with that kind of energy. I think I have to do some song and dance number just to be able to engage, our audience the same way. But anyhow, it's a good thing that what I will be presenting here is basically, the technical side of course, of creating your online content or online videos. And hopefully this would actually supplement what Janina mentioned earlier. So if I may share my screen. Okay. So today we will be sharing some video production tips and tricks. No? 10 lessons on producing great teaching online videos behind and in front of the camera. Throughout this pandemic, we all know that a lot of our teachers have been adapting to the new technology of EdTech. And it's really a challenge because I think for the past how many months, our teachers, lecturers, professors are all being taught on how to upload their classes, create quizzes, how to check assignments and all in the learning platforms that they're all using. But there's this very one important aspect that we saw that is needed to be taught, and that is basically what we're doing now, teaching the soft side and the tech side of you being able to be more effective in presenting, your online lessons. Okay, but first things first, I would just like to say, guys, you rock. Again, there's a lot of adjustment that have happened, during this time, and you guys made it happen. And school is going to be starting. For others, it has already started, and you are really making a difference in the lives of your students. And that is really something that shows how much passionate you guys are. And with that, I salute you, we salute you, and that's why we're even giving this as our way of reinforcing and supporting, this passion of yours in making sure that your students will be able to learn, even during this time of crisis or pandemic. So let's go now to lesson number 1. So similar to Janina, I have also 10 lessons. No? I had to make sure that that's just 10, or else I'll be talking until like 3 hours. Okay, because I have, I will be sharing really experiences for the past 20 years that our company has been doing, training videos or online videos. So I try to put it, as concise as possible. So lesson number 1: plan, plan, plan. Okay. So this is so basic and yet very, very important, okay? Pre-production planning or preparation of your online session is more than 50% of the whole content creation process. By doing this, you're actually preparing yourself to be able to make it properly, to be able to do it well, to be able to make it efficiently and effectively. You have to create a game plan for your online meeting or online production, and don't leave things to chance. Failure to prepare is really preparing to fail. So that is something that we have to put in our minds. So here are some action steps with regards to this lesson. Treat your online session as a production activity. Why? Why is it a production activity? So that you will have a system, because it's now different. You have a camera and all. There's technical stuff that you have to go through. These are the things that you just see in events or you watch on TV broadcast and all. And now you guys are actually doing it yourselves. So by following the production process, you will have a foolproof system that would guide you to ensure that you'll be successful in doing whatever activity you have in terms of your lessons. No? Number 2, to have a storyline. Basically, you just really have to identify your communication objectives for that lesson. It would be helpful to have, a script guide, just some keywords, making sure that you are able to properly say the grammar, or the sentences. Have some shot list if you're going to be doing some action shots, or try to understand what cuts you will be doing, or what you will wear for the session is also very important. So if it's like, for example, if it's a preschool, once in a while have something colorful. And also, again, these are the things that you actually plan ahead. Okay. Identify the delivery style of each lesson and presentation. Okay, like what Janina mentioned earlier, there are different levels of energy that you have to give, and it's our way of being able to engage our audience. And this is when we are in production, being also a director, this is how we actually guide our talents to ensure that they are able to engage always their audience, to play around with how they are going to be delivering their lines. Understand the basics of the video conferencing platform or LMS that you will be using to ensure basic technical functional capability. What do I mean by that? There are just so many. I think at this point in time, there's like Zoom, GoToMeetings, Google, Cisco WebEx, Skype, Microsoft Teams. And it's very important that we are at least aware on the basic functions of the different platforms. Like, for example, suddenly you have to share a screen. It takes you like 10, 15, 20 seconds to just find that share button, right? So again, it's free to try it out. So might as well, practice using the different web conferencing platforms to help you become more effective in presenting your lessons. Also, make ready the supporting software, the applications that you're going to be using during your session. For all you know, it's not compatible, or it doesn't come out, or when you play the video, it doesn't play because it wasn't detected by the web conferencing software. So again, you'll have to prepare this ahead of time, and it's not something that you do or you troubleshoot while you're actually giving the lessons. More action steps. So I said, it's like 10 years, 20 years of experience that we're trying to share here. Find the right location when you're setting up the session. That's also very critical. For us, that's what you call the production set. It's also very helpful if you do find that production set in your area, in your homes, that would allow you to be able to do your lessons properly. Consider the time of the activity, the time that you will be doing it, in what area that there will be no people or there's no noise. So again, these are things that you'll have to consider, or even the time that you have the best internet connection. So it's something that at least on your mind, you play around with. Prepare the props needed, and at least make it arm's length away. Why? Because if suddenly, like me, I'm your teacher, then I am supposed to show you a picture and I have to leave the screen, and you see nobody in the screen. You practically just made all of the students, concerned on where is our teacher? Where did our teacher go? Did I get out of the lesson, or did I get out of the class? So again, as long as the things are already prepared, arm's length away, it's something that you can easily show them, during the class. The equipment and material setup plan, the camera, the laptop, again, it's something that you have to at least be prepared. Connectivity plan, now it's more than ever important. Internet connection planning is really something that you have to consider. Why? Because in your homes, there's probably 2-3 people also using the internet, having a Zoom meeting, having their online classes, or even just playing games. And it's very important that you have that schedule clear to everybody at the house, in your homes or in your office, so that everybody can share the bandwidth. Nobody would be hogging, the bandwidth and using it for something else. And here you are not being able to share your lessons properly because of the lag or because of the lack of internet connection. Then a gentle reminder, Murphy's Law is real. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, okay? So to beat Murphy, there's a way really to beat Murphy, you know? It is important to plan to fail in your mind, okay? In your mind. By planning to fail in your mind, you're actually planning to succeed. What am I trying to say here? Run through the worst case what if scenarios before your sessions. Janina went through this very well earlier. Like, for example, no or slow connectivity. What if there was a power outage? At least, hopefully, your laptop, your cell phones are fully charged. What if the computer crashes? Where are the lessons? Are they only there, or do you actually back it up in a flash drive? What if the presentation file gets corrupted? I mean, again, these are nightmare situations that you'll have to be prepared. What if suddenly on that moment that you're about to give your world-class lesson, a construction activity or a jackhammer started, you know, outside your home or your office? So again, have a plan B, plan C to Z, based on these possibilities. You know, there's a saying that people who gets into what you call tunnel vision, when they say that suddenly my eyes got dark, I don't see anything because of the stress or the situation, it's because the mind didn't have a plan B. So they suddenly get short-circuited and they just basically freeze because they don't know what to do next. So it's important that even in your mind, you play around this different, you know, plans so that you will be able to immediately implement whatever plan is needed to continue with your classes. Okay. Lesson number 2. Janina mentioned this, and I will mention it again because practice makes perfect. Practice your lines, understand the lesson, practice your movements. You know, you have blocking on where, up to where you will be moving in the screen. You run through the program in your mind, record yourself in the cell phone, and review it and see whether there are things that you need to improve, or even, you know, how you sound, how you deliver a line. And those are things that you can actually do now because technology, because you have access to these gadgets. An online video hack, feel free to use some, you know, guides or idiot boards, what we call in production, or cue cards, and just put it in front of your camera. And I'm sure a lot of teachers, as a matter of fact, I've seen a question about this, but it's very important that you put it near your webcam and not too much also, because at the end, you might end up, you know, searching for that note, and people or your audience would actually see you trying to find that note that, you know, that would guide you to answer or to share a certain lesson. Okay. So it's very important also that you look always at the camera. That's something that would definitely engage a lot of your learners. Lesson number 3. Lights, camera, action. Okay, what is the ideal video setup right now that our teachers are actually implementing? Of course, this is not broadcast, or we're not in a studio. We're not going to be having a 3-point lighting. There's no backlight, there's no fill light and everything. So we'll discuss now what are the appropriate cameras, you know, that we can use, the speakers, headphones, or earphones that we could use, what type of lighting that we could use, or the backdrop, may that be real or virtual, or even the environment, or what we call the production set, for us to be able to deliver our classes. Well, camera samples are here. You know, surprisingly, there's a lot of options for you to use. And these can start with your mobile phones or tablets, which some tablets now you can get at a very, you know, affordable rate. Oh, of course, if there's supply right now, because it's really fast moving. You can use your DSLR. If you have a camera out there that it's not being used, you can actually attach that to your computer and make it into a, you know, webcam. No, a video camera. Of course, your laptop would always have that built-in camera. If not, you could always use an external webcam. Sometimes we experience videos, or I see videos that are really dark or grainy because they're using probably an old generation webcam or laptop. It might be in the long term worthwhile to actually invest, in a good webcam, as this is something that we will be using regularly. And again, by making it clearer or making it better, the resolution, you'll be able to engage your audience better. Other cameras that you can actually use, in case you don't know, you can actually use your GoPros or your action cameras. There's an option there that you can actually make it into a webcam. What's nice about it is that most action cameras are ultra wide, so you don't have to like step further away from your gadget or from your computer just to be able to be captured by the camera. And also, some CCTVs are also possible to become your webcam. There's just some settings that you have to do, or some what do you call this, a connection that you'll have to make with your computer or your gadgets. And also dash cams. For those who has extra dash cams, there are actually some options that you can also consider dash cams as your camera. So again, I'm just sharing the possibilities of being able to capture yourself using the different cameras available out there. Now for speakers, definitely there's also a lot of options. You can use a speaker, you can use a headphone, and you can use earphones. There are advantages each. For me, having a headphone and earphones would definitely be more relevant and functional right now, because speakers, the problem with speakers, when you have speakers, there's a tendency sometimes to have that echo that you hear, that recurring echo, the perpetual echo that goes wong, 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 that actually distracts everyone. And again, you may be able to make use of, headphones that at least you get to put inside with a microphone, though the microphone of the headphone, you'll just have to make sure that it's nearer to your mouth and it's facing your mouth where the audio is coming out. Or use a headphone. Okay, earphones are different. Those are the ones that you put inside the ears. Headphones are the one that covers your ears. The nice thing about headphones, there are of course some way of removing the noise happening outside, so you're able to hear your students better. So, and also the microphone is usually set up, in front of, it's like a worm mic that is in front of your mouth, so you are heard better. Okay, so these are the different audio gadgets or devices or accessories rather that you could use. Now lighting, this is very interesting. I think this is always out of stock in all of the stores. This is a very popular light right now. It's called the ring light. It's quite affordable. Yes, you may consider this actually to be able to light up, the highlights of your face, of your body, or at least bring out, the colors of the scene. Again, these are production video lights or photography lights that you could actually use. But there are other options, no? There are really a lot of options that you may want to know. And, because of the LED technology, you can now make use of your available house lamps or even your ceiling lights as a way of lighting yourself up. But what is important is you light yourself up. So it could be a desk lamp or a book lamp. Again, there are just so many options. You're not forced to get those production level lights just to look good. What is important is you have some source of light that would allow you to be seen better. Even a flashlight can work. I mean, of course, you just don't face it to your face or put it in front of your face, but just put, a paper on top of it. Just light it up, and it becomes, a very soft light, like a soft box. Now, simple lighting setup, especially if you're shooting a content, this is something that I usually share. The ring light or the source light would be nice if it could be somewhere in the level of your face. Putting it down would make you scary, honestly, because suddenly you look like a ghost. Putting it up would make you like a sad person, authoritative and all, because the lighting and the shadows would basically cover your face. So that's something that you could actually do. Install the lights a little bit, eye level. try to avoid being in the back, too near a background or a wall, because eventually what people would see is basically your shadow, following you wherever you go. There's a shadow behind you that somewhat follows you, and that can actually become a little bit distracting. And don't overpower the lights. Just light it up enough for you to be able to show the highlights of your face. There's also another way. If you don't have all of those gadgets, then use natural light. Go beside a window or go near, a place where their natural light is coming in. But take note, one drawback is that if you are near a window, obviously that means you're near, you're beside, a place where there can be some possible noise happening, like the streets, or an area where kids would be playing. So again, yes, it is great to have natural light, but the problem is sometimes windows are always near a certain area that would have some source of noise. Okay. Now, here's something that I would like to share with you. Okay. Understanding the color temperature of lights. Every time you find, when you go to the hardware or you get a production light, there's always what we call options of either making it warm white, cool white, or daylight. So in layman's term, what are we trying to do here? If you are putting it in warm light, my gosh, your skin will be flawless. Okay, it's very cinematic. It's a little bit on the brownish side. So again, you will look very, very flawless. If you want to look that way, then by all means, consider the warm lighting. And you can actually buy the bulbs and put it in your desk lamp as well, and use that as a way of lighting you up. Okay. Now, if you want to look a little bit more clinical or crisp, it's the color of being in the hospital. I don't know if you want to be like being in the hospital, but you can use the cool white option. It has its advantages because you see that it's very crisp. Even the objects inside, the objects being lighted becomes very visible. Now, of course, there's also that daylight. The daylight basically is a very vibrant light. It brings out the colors, the real colors, as if you're, again, outside in the daylight. Okay, so with that, this is probably one of those techniques that some people are using. That's why sometimes when you see, wow, that guy looks so good, or that girl looks so good on camera, it's because probably they're using a warm light. Okay, so you can also achieve that in your next class. Background backdrop. For me, honestly, I would like to say the most practical background is a wall. Just a plain wall, clean wall, no smudges or anything. Make use of that. All you need is a 2-meter wall for you to be able to project yourself, and that makes it so simple, with less distraction. So again, keep your backgrounds always simple. If possible, if you're going to make use of virtual backgrounds, have a green screen. So obviously, I'm not using green screen right now, but we were advised to make use of this background. So, but when you have a green screen, everything is much better. So there's no morphing or as you can see, my hands are disappearing and everything. So that is minimized when you have a green screen. There are some textile out there in your homes that might even be green in color. You can actually use that, as long as it's not glossy. It's matte finish. It may be a curtain. It may be your blanket. Try it out. It can become your green screen. Okay. Do not use distracting backgrounds. Avoid too much flashy colors. Some are so amazed about technology right now that they like putting so much elements, flashy colors, or sometimes they make their background or virtual background too beautiful, and what they don't know is they're actually getting the attention of everybody watching, wondering whether that background is real. Is that his bedroom? Is that his living room? Wow, he has such a wonderful house. And what's happening now is that they're actually getting distracted because of your background. So keep it simple, just plain colors, or just simple backgrounds would actually be more effective. And also avoid moving backgrounds. Moving backgrounds tend to distract. So if there's like, a tree at the back that is swaying, or there's a beach at the back that is actually, showing the waves, they will not be looking at you. They will be looking at the beach. They'll be thinking that, they'll be thinking to themselves, oh my gosh, when would be the next time I'll be able to visit the beach, okay, or go to, have a summer outing and stuff like that. So might as well don't lead them there. Just have a simple background, because once a person loses their focus, it actually takes at least 20 minutes to regain back their full focus. So every time they get distracted with whatever elements you put, you lose their focus, or you lose their attention. Okay, environment. Also, I mean, I've seen so many people setting up their home office, they're setting up their classes and all, and I've seen pictures. The problem with some of the setups that I've seen is that there's an open area at the back, which is basically a passageway of people or kids running around, or mom or dad going to the kitchen getting something. So again, that is it can be distracting. It's a potential distraction source. So another way, if you cannot put, a backdrop, or you cannot hang a curtain at your back, there's this dividers you can actually put, and just so to be able to again divide, your space from the rest of the area, to lessen again the distractions. Okay. My style, honestly, if I could, I cannot wait. I cannot change my background right now, but actually I just have a plain background. So I always try to look for, a wall at the back. Why a wall? That means nobody can already pass by, or because it's so near a wall that nobody would already pass by and, distract the session. So again, if you can consider that, because more often than not, the desks are always facing the wall, right? And everything else is at the back. So everybody gets to see what's happening at the back. You cannot even enter the room of your child because their camera is actually facing the door. So every time you enter, just to check if they're okay, you get seen in their classes. So try it out. Since you're looking at tables or foldable tables, try it out and just use your wall as your background. Okay, use your wall as your background. That's one advice. Lesson number 4. Video is only as good as your... Okay, so I was just kidding. See, if there's no audio being heard, your video is nothing. Okay, so audio has to be clear. It has to be comprehensible. No distracting noise. Avoid peaking. When I say avoid peaking, maintain your voice, because your audience actually adjusts accordingly to the level that you are actually sharing. So if you are soft during the start, they will bring up the volume, they will pump it up. Then suddenly in the middle, you decide to be energetic and you start shouting. I'm sure all of your audience would suddenly get surprised, and the whole house would shake because they've basically placed the volume of their speakers or their headphones on a higher level, and suddenly you shout, and so then you turn back, you make it soft again, so they adjust again the volume. So try to avoid those peaking moments that too much, not too much. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to go up and down, but those times that you're speaking so soft, then suddenly you shout, that might again affect their experience or learning experience. Microphones is always very helpful. This is really to improve vocal audio. But you have to test these microphones because there's really some compatibility that you have to check. It could be the built-in microphone in your laptop or webcam, which are some of them are really good. As a matter of fact, I'm using my webcam audio right now, which is I hope is good because I've tested this and it comes well. It registers very well. It could be, you know, included in the device, you know, your ear pods or something like that. There's always that microphone there, the Bluetooth ones, or it could be attached to your earphone or headphones. Again, you just have to try it out. But what I'm trying to say here is that if you have that microphone to help you capture the audio, it would be very, very effective in making your video, your online classes better. Okay. Prevention is also better than cure. Again, like what I mentioned, avoid peeking too much all the time or distracting noises like hammer dogs, chickens, etc. Especially when you're recording your lessons, no? And it happens. I've seen so many lessons that have those components. But of course, we're very understandable now because yes, we're doing everything at home. So you don't have to cook your chicken first. No, you don't have to cook your chicken first. Let's try to find a way to actually reduce, you know, those distracting noises. Humming sounds, you know, electric fans are normally the culprit. Like, especially when it's rotating and somebody unmutes themselves, then you can actually hear and everybody just wanted to, I guess it's the job of the teacher to just mute everyone. Okay. Also the echo in the room. Sometimes you're in a room thinking that there's nothing inside. You want to be inside that room because you know it's empty. The problem with empty rooms, there's just so many echo that happens. Okay. Also some audio editing. Note, it's very tricky because once you recorded the noise, it's very hard to remove, especially when you are capturing a lesson. No? So some simple prevention of the noises is always the key. Another thing that you can consider, if the noise is coming, you know, in front of you, then you record away from the noise. Your mic should be pointed away from the noise, so that would somehow minimize, you know, the noise being registered in your microphone. You can use some practical soundproofing. You'll be amazed on what you can get on the budget stores when it comes to having what you call this curtains or even foam. You know, your pillows are one of the best soundproofing accessories. Again, these are things that you could actually use. Use a dedicated external microphone, and sometimes when you cannot remove those noises, especially their subtle noises, you can always hide them by putting music, embedding music in your lessons. That's one way of actually hiding those noises. No? That's why there's background music sometimes in the lessons. Okay, so lesson number 5. Where do you position yourself in the camera? Because video framing is key and composition is very, very important. Do you like to be like wide to give you the space to move around, or you're somewhat closer with a mid shot? Though it would always be nice to apply the rule of thirds when it comes to framing yourself to make the frame more interesting, like not always in the center but a little bit on the right side. Or is it a close-up or ultra close-up? No, especially when your gadget is too near you, to the point that they can actually see your notes already, something like this, right? Because I've seen this in a lot of sessions when the gadget is too close, the speaker is like using the whole space already. So again, just make sure that you are framed properly, that it doesn't come to a point that it can become distracting. Also, be aware of negative space or headroom. I have seen quite a number of lecturers who talks, you know, like their face is like under or even half, or their chin is already touching the bottom of their screen. I guess just be aware of that. I think there's just so many space that you're not using, so you can still make use of your space so that at least, you know, visually you can be seen properly. Okay, and having negative space sometimes is also quite distracting. Safety zones, you'll have to be aware of this as well, because there are some gadgets that actually doesn't see the edges of the screen. So for example, if I wanted to show you this device, okay, which can be seen, there you go. If I wanted to show this, for example, there you go. If I put it outside, you're actually not going to be able to see it anymore. Like for example, in this screen, there's a teacher's more, because again, it's clipping already, it's cropped. So again, be aware that there are safety zones in the screen. So you would be able to check this out in the web on, but my rule of thumb is at least 10% left, right, bottom, and top are areas that you try to avoid putting elements, because that 10% sometimes get out of screen, you know, especially when you're watching it on TV or in some gadgets that has a frame. So basic things again to consider when it comes to video framing: headroom, negative space, the safety zone, action zone, prop zone, and of course the rule of thirds. Okay, lesson number 6. Okay, video is all about capturing motion and light. The thing with video, my dear lecturers, teachers, professors, trainers, it cannot capture subtle reactions. No, well, like in theater acting, you'll normally see our actors, you know, a little bit more in the exaggerated expressions, because this is how video actually will be able to only see and register, you know, these expressions. So if I'm talking like this, though you hear my voice and you don't see my mouth opening, you actually don't know that I'm actually speaking. So it's sometimes important that you actually show that you're opening your mouth and do the facial reaction with, you know, your eyebrows going up or being surprised, smiling. And Janina was able to explain this earlier, you know, quite comprehensively. So again, it's something that I would like to reaffirm, that our video cameras won't be able to capture subtle reactions. So sometimes you actually need to be a little bit more expressive. So drink your coffee before your classes. Okay. Another thing, okay, you cannot capture what you cannot see. Avoid, you know, if you can. Of course, again, this is why I love shooting myself behind, you know, with the wall behind me, so that I don't have that hole, dark hole, you know, in my back. Because sometimes when there are dark holes in your back, and I see this, people love it. No, they put a light and they're the only one lighted. But as an audience, I get to try to see the background. Where is this guy? I mean, what is that? Is there something moving? Is there a ghost behind him? So again, might as well, you know, find a way to at least not have a dark background. Might as well use already a virtual background to help you address that. Or sometimes it's just too dark that your eyes can't even be seen. You look like a hacker, or, you know, or something like that, or a scammer. So as long as you don't get to see the eyes, no, it becomes very difficult for you to engage your audience, because they cannot see your pupils or your eyes well. So that's something that would be nice if your students can actually see that. Because at the end, that is how they get engaged. With all of the training videos that we produce, we normally suggest that there should be a talent in the video. Why? Because there's somebody that the audience is actually looking at. So that's why, for me, it's very important that the face gets lighted up. Try to avoid also backlit situations wherein there's a window at your back, and suddenly, you know, the light is just so bright that you're actually just a shadow being seen, a silhouette. So again, these are things that you need to be aware of. It may look nice on photo, or if you're in a vacation, but delivering a class as a silhouette is something quite, you know, scary actually. and then I'm sure it would be difficult for your audience to be engaged, especially if what they see is a shadow. So lighting, again, proper lighting definitely would be very helpful to capture the details and the colors, your reactions, and the objects that you get to show. And here's one very, 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 very common problem of a lot of video trainers or teachers or educators, blurry or out of focus screen. I don't know why, but I think it's because sometimes they are using the front side of their camera, or if not the back side of the camera. What they don't know is that sometimes you get to touch your lens at the back when you're holding your phone and calling. And worse is that your front camera, okay, your front camera gets to touch your face when you do a call. So those oily film, from your face would actually transfer to your lens. And here you are using that also to capture yourself. Therefore, what happens is that you have a blurry screen, and you think that it's not you have a bad quality camera. Actually, all you need is a tissue paper and wipe that lens, and you'll be amazed on how clear your camera would become. Okay, so again, this is something that is happening more often than not. Okay, lesson number 7. When creating content, learn the art of shoot edit. This is really for those who are producing content. Sometimes you don't have to repeat the whole 1-hour lecture if you feel that you made a mistake somewhere. Try to just identify that part and shoot edit. Meaning, if you were shooting wide, then you shoot closer and use that as a transition. No. It's about keeping in mind how you're going to edit the footage in the future. So basically, you're just really capturing those parts that you will be needing. Okay, so this is a technology that was being actually practiced by all of the videographers and production companies before editing became very, very, very prominent. Or the gadgets are able to edit already. So it's what you call shoot edit. Okay, this is very helpful in creating the transitions and cuts in the video. Shooting mostly what's only needed helps reduce the stress of reshooting the errors. From wide, you can always make it the close-up. You can always cover the elements with a voiceover. You don't have to reshoot everything. If you feel that there's something that was wrong in the lesson, you can actually just cover it with voiceover or cutaway shots. You shoot if you're going on a show and tell, instead of you holding it and you made an error, just take a shot of the object and use that as a way to cover the part where you had that error. Okay, so lesson number 8. Go back to basics. This is quite important. It's all about communication. The fastest way to communicate a point is still really clearly go straight to the point. In video production, we all love putting elements, effects, sound effects, and they're really there just to reinforce. Even or without it or little of it, the message should be clear. The message or the lesson should stand out. We have this saying that some of the best films were made cut to cut. What is that? The best films that were made, some of the best films that were made cut to cut, meaning there's no even crossfade happening, or there's no CGI, there's no effects, no animation. So again, this is something that you may want to consider. Just go back to basics, especially when you're trying to deliver some communication points. Other considerations when you're communicating, of course, online, font size should always be readable. Don't use font 12, or just don't put too many elements on screen. Don't put your whole PDF on screen, because honestly, the document won't even be seen because the text would be too small. Go back to basics also in terms of trying to pause once in a while, which is something I guess I didn't do because I'm not sure if I'm still inside the lesson, but I guess I'm seeing some thumbs up, so I'm still in. But you have to pause, then clarify, guys, are you okay? Are you still there? Is the class still complete? Did you understand me? Was there any lag? Was there any thing that happened while I was presenting it? So again, go back to basics in communication. Learn how to listen. You try to facilitate the time that you get feedback if everything is okay. Lesson number 9. What is this? For preschool teachers, we always say, I spy with my little eye. I see a... What do we see? we see a dot, right? We see a dot. So it's the same with video. Be aware of the elements that you set up, that may distract or make your audience shift their attention to. Unnecessary objects on screen, flashy colors, elements. Some dresses or some blouses or some shirts can actually become a little bit distracting, especially when there's grids or checkered played. There's some design that actually make it appear as if the screen is moving more like that, because video can seem to capture those fine lines properly. So you end up as if your whole dress is actually morphing and moving the whole time, and that can get a little bit distracting. There can be some trash around or a shadow when you're too near the wall. It's a shadow that they see, or people walking at the back, or children running around. So again, try to be aware of try to be aware of these elements that can actually distract, your audience. Also, sometimes, of course, this is just a sample. When doing an online content, it is actually the things that make people wonder, what is that? Is that a rope? What is connected to that rope? And the tendency is for them to actually start floating away from your actual lesson, because they're actually looking at something within the screen that makes them wonder, what is that? Or they see something there like a plug, like, what is that plug? What is plugged there? Is there an electric fan? Is that an extension cord? So again, to avoid all of that, then might as well try to see. You have time to actually check on your screen what is coming out. I think most web conference applications allow you to check first if everything is okay before you actually go live. So might as well check if there's any elements in the screen that might get your audience distracted. Lesson number 10. Wow. Lesson number 10. I hope all of these are helping you guys out. No? This was mentioned by Janina earlier. Review. I have to reiterate this. You'll have to review your lessons, no? Even just in your mind. Let people watch if you have a video, if you produced a video, before finalizing the edit. I have seen some videos produced that actually had minor errors that I think for educators can be major, because sometimes there's wrong spelling, there's a letter missing, or a part where the music suddenly didn't play. So again, kindly review the materials. No, we're somehow working from home, and if you have the time, to watch it for 30 minutes, might as well watch it or scrub it. What we call scrub it, just do a fast forward to see if everything is okay, and for you to be able to again see if you were able to produce something correctly. And lastly, as a bonus lesson, please have fun. Again, it's already stressful trying to be the content producer, the lecturer, the editor, the videographer, the lights man, the audio man, and all for all of our educators and lecturers, professors out there. And I salute you, because those are all the jobs that we do as a production house. But you guys are actually learning this and doing this. So might as well have fun. When you're creating your videos, it's like it's your own small universe that you're trying to share with others, so that your audience would also learn from you. Know your strength and leverage from that. If you are already a good storyteller, then approach your content or your way of delivering your lessons as a storyteller or something to that effect. Definitely, it is something that would help you go through this new form of teaching, and release the stress and just have fun, because really, learning this technology is something, it's a life skill now. It's really a life skill. Video production is a life skill that you can make use, especially when you have special events in your family, in your life, and all, capturing moments. So look at it that way. That's really something that you would be able to do to document whatever is happening in our lives. So again, it's not going to only be used for teaching, but also you can use it in your personal life. Okay, so with that, thank you very much to everyone. Maraming salamat. And I hope that you were able to pick up some notes from the lesson that I've shared. I know it was kind of long, but I really wanted to share that to everyone, because I know that this is my only chance to to be able to reinforce or support, show our support, of course, to all of our educators, trainers, lecturers out there, especially during this time of pandemic. And I really thank also Neo, no, Cyber Learning for actually facilitating this web conference for us to be able to share all of these experiences. Okay, so maraming salamat. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Rich. We're going to quickly jump into our Q&A. We have a couple of questions that I think we can answer. Just to start off, this question is, I think, for Janina, from Christina Fajardo. How do you overcome your stage fright? I think you're still. Yeah, so maybe while we figure out your audio, I'll have a question for Rich first, and then I'll get back to you again.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
yes, I can hear Rich. So, Rich, would you recommend, this is quite a technical question, would you recommend using a virtual background for webinars? If so, what would be a good technique in using them for making a shadow mist effect visible? What is even a shadow mist effect? What's that?
Shadow mist?
Yes, shadow mist effect.
Mist visible. Well,
I think it's the one here when we have the virtual background, right? So it
okay.
looks like there's
All right. The way to address that is actually, number one, the technology of our web conferencing applications are making use of artificial intelligence to identify, the edges of your body. So to help these technology, try to have a green screen or a chroma screen. It doesn't have to be green. As a matter of fact, it can be
blue. Mine is blue. Yeah.
Anything, any color that is not present in your body. Or else, if you're wearing green and your green background is there, you'll end up like a head floating. So again, use something that is not present in your body. Then here's another technique. If you really want to be properly cut out, light it up a little bit. Light up the green screen so that it pops out and it's easier for your application to detect it. Okay, so that's one way of actually doing a very, how to say, clean, virtual background. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. This is something that's also familiar to me. So, Janina, is your audio okay now? Yeah, great. So how do you overcome your stage fright?
I get this question a lot. The thing about stage fright, first of all, if this is asked from a teacher, when you're already doing a personal class, it's the same kind of presence that you need behind the camera. So it's not really stage fright. You just have to put your mindset in a place where, okay, I'm teaching the students. But for all those who aren't educators, who really aren't comfortable being in front of the camera or in front of teachers, the best way to overcome stage fright is to first know your material. Second, practice, like do it every single day, because overcoming stage fright is just about building confidence in yourself. A lot of stage fright is self-consciousness. You don't want to be judged. You're afraid that you will stumble and fumble on your words. You're afraid that people will criticize you in every way. But if you're confident in your material, in your content, and if you're confident enough and comfortable enough with yourself, the way you look, the way you feel, then it will slowly eliminate the stage fright. But also,
something
practice. Yeah. It's a skill, and not everyone is born with, let's say, the personality to want to have attention all the time.
Someone was saying earlier, I was seeing in the comments, like someone was saying, Janina, the camera cannot even contain your energy. They were so impressed by your energy.
I was actually pressured because
oh my gosh. Can I just say, I had 2 cups of coffee and I said 2 pairs beforehand. I think a part of that was the nerves.
Okay. Okay. So again, this is something for Rich. This might be something that schools now are thinking about. So should schools create their own classroom program for teachers who find it difficult to access or use programs like Zoom or web conferencing apps that is hard for some teachers to manipulate?
Of course, at the end, there's really a lot of platforms now that schools would definitely have to try out, and it varies. Now, everybody has their own preference. Honestly, if you ask the question, which is the best, you will get 10 answers, and all of them are all good. So basically, it boils down to first overcoming that fear of trying out the different technologies and find what will work. Find what will work. Though, of course, as you can see, there are more popular ones. And because they are popular, there's a lot more users. And when there's a lot of more users, you can actually consult a lot of people. So again, that's one way of being able to, adapt to which technology that they could use. Now, if they're asking if it's going to be a asynchronous classroom, recording and all, I think Janina even mentioned that be prepared, right, to have your own video recorded and even uploaded to whatever platform, may that be an LMS like Neo or YouTube or Facebook Live that is private, that only your students can see. If that is the protocol of the school, then why not? That's something that can actually help our teachers lessen, the stress during this time. So, of course, you'll just have to see what best would work for the
Yes.
for the institution.
Okay, thanks, Rich. So again, for Janina, this is maybe something practical from the teachers. Can you recommend a technique where you can give the impression to the audience that you're constantly looking at the camera, but you're actually reading from a script from the monitor? It's quite difficult to memorize facts and figures during webinars or when you're operating the presentation slides when you're supposed to be constantly engaged. Of course, there are subjects like math, biology, or chemistry where they have to give out facts.
Yes. So actually, a technique that I use for even when I do hosting is, remember, this is the camera. And so most people, what they do is they have an iPad. For example, let's say this is my iPad. What I do is I have the script here or my notes here and I place it beside the camera. And as you can see, it still seems like I'm looking at you, but my eye line doesn't shift, right? So that's
it's okay to be side by side. I mean, the eyes to move,
Yes.
side
So
to side.
the thing is, because for most teachers, it's important for you to be familiar with your material so that you can go off tangent and you can be spontaneous. So it's really best to have bullet points. But if you can't, it's okay to do sideline. But what I would do also, another way for me to still keep the engagement with the students, I'll give an example na lang. So, for example, this. Let me read something and make it still seem like I'm engaging with you, even if I'm not looking directly at you. Okay. So, your spirit is your spark, your brilliance, and your very best. It's the part of your soul that you give to the world. So, do you understand me, class? I mean, there's a way for you to still look at the material and your students and then ask them questions. Because the whole point of this is not that you have to look at them like that. Because when you talk to students, of course, in a classroom, sometimes you're 40, or sometimes if it's an auditorium, it's a million people. So the whole point is not just to look at them, but it's more of how do you connect with them. And connecting doesn't just mean eye line, but it's really engaging with them and making them know that you're present for them.
I think what I observed from that mini demonstration that you gave is like constantly checking back, like don't linger too long at your notes. So always make sure that you always check back with the camera.
Yes.
So that's very practical.
Can I answer that also? On the technical side naman, alam niyo, well, basically, it's very important that, again, the camera is positioned a little bit, on a level that makes it easy for them to look at it. So, what am I trying to say? Sometimes laptops are located too low, that they look down, or too high that they look up. No, so the camera definitely. Every time you have an off shift of your eyes, it's so obvious that you're not looking at the camera. So like a teleprompter technology, you know, those teleprompters that all the newscasters are actually reading, and yet they make it appear as if they have memorized it, or they're looking in the lens of the camera. You just put the notes really beside the webcam, or beside, you know, surrounding the cam, and that would allow you to be able to read and look at the camera quickly without being noticed that you're actually, you know, looking away from the camera. So hopefully that's something that they could also do. So or they can actually have a small tripod and put that webcam in the middle of their screen. Since all they want is a reference, they can still look at their PowerPoint or their lecture and still look at the, you know, the camera lens directly.
Yeah, so we have a lot of questions, but we will be answering, in the interest of time, we'll be answering some of them on the feed later on today. But at this point, we would like to show you a quick video about the partnership of Cypher Learning and DB Tech.
I'll take notes of all these things that you just mentioned. So I'm going to try to practice some of them like right away.
We're learning a lot, right?
Your audio is a little bit soft. You didn't listen to me, huh?
Oh, hi. Hi. So thanks for that. So it's my pleasure now to introduce, all the way from Mexico, our Global Director for Sales and EdTech, Armando Yuri Rangel, to share with us a few words.
Thank you, Arlene. Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here right now with all of you. Thank you, Richard. This is just a very instructive and very useful ideas that we have right now. I'm already practicing some of them. I have my notes here. I have put everything in place. And Janine, what a fantastic and engaging and motivational talk. Thank you for those, for all that knowledge that you're sharing with us. It's just fantastic. And thank you also for sharing that with the world. We are now different countries. A lot of people is joining, and we're very proud of being here as part of this. To the audience, buenos dias, good morning, buenas noches from Mexico. I'm based in Mexico, and it's such an honor being here today. And I'm very, very happy this morning on sharing these exciting ideas. I can just make a very quick like a summary of all these ideas on small words. For example, I can say that please smile, connect, be empathic, be passionate. But the last one is the most important. Believe on what you have, all the power, all what you have. We have to learn and teach from the heart, from our own passion. Don't worry, we'll take care of the technology. We'll take care of all these little things that you're gonna face. That's why Richard is here. That's why Janina is here. We'll take care of that. You have to take care of providing the best experience possible for your students. Aside from learning, we have this commitment to provide the best quality and support possible ever. And the best experience requires a great platform. We're providing that already. But also, the content is a very key factor that we want to empower. And that's why, and this strategy is possible when we bring different collaboration synergies like the one we have with DB Tech today. So, see, Richard, I'm very honored also being here part of this. And I'd like to also to give you a welcome to Cypher Learning family for the Filipinos, but also for the world. I'd like to also, as part of this meeting, to award you with a certificate to DB Tech as our partner, as our reseller. We're very honored. Thank you for this experience. Thank you for joining all what you have. As I mentioned, not only for the Filipinos, this is more important than that. It's the Filipinos, from the local to the global to the world. Thank you for that. And thank you for making this happening for all of us. And I hope from Mexico.
Thanks. Thanks, Yuri.
Maraming salamat.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Thanks, Yuri. Thanks,
Thank you
Yuri.
very much, Yuri.
Thanks,
you.
Richard. Thanks, Janina. So
you.
that concludes our webinar for today. For those who have registered for this webinar, we will be sending you a certificate via email. You can also post in the live feed if you are having questions about how to get your certificates. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you learned some tips on how to be your best self online and engage with your audience. Thanks also, a special shout out to Jeric and Alina and the rest of the DV Tech team for making this possible. So thank you and have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be safe, everyone. Be safe. God
Be
bless.
safe.
Be
Thank
safe.
you.
And
Bye.
all the best this start of school, which is next week. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Ooh, thank you.
Educators can choose from a variety of EdTech tools to enhance their classroom activities. But with so many options available, technology can sometimes get overwhelming. You start by using one tool to create class content, another to assess students, then another one for collaboration, and things can easily get out of control. Instead of saving time using technology, teachers end up spending more time switching between apps, moving data from one system to another, and trying to make various tools work together. There is actually a simpler, better way of teaching and learning online. NEO is a learning platform for schools and universities that provides all the essential tools for creating and managing learning activities. With an intuitive design, NEO makes learning an enjoyable experience for students and enables teachers to expand their activities beyond the classroom walls. Educators can build engaging classes suited for their teaching style without any technical knowledge and include their favorite resources and media files. With NEO, teachers can easily evaluate what students learn in classes using a variety of assignments such as quizzes, essays, debates, and more. Assessment is simplified using our grading tools and assignment types, and educators can keep all student results centralized in the gradebook. Teachers can get instant analytics on student progress and quickly identify areas where they might need additional help. To increase student mastery of subjects, teachers can define the skills and knowledge they should acquire through classes, then track on a competency basis how well they understand the concepts. Educators can make classes more dynamic and adapted to their
SCI is one of the largest network of schools in the country, which was founded in 1983. Currently, we have 76 campuses with about 80,000 students, both in senior high school and college. We offer different academic programs, which are industry-based curriculum, and we have different industry-grade facilities, simulation laboratories, and we have certified faculty members. So students nowadays are digital natives. And therefore, what we did was, for us to be able to implement LMS across the network, was to support our teachers. So what we did was we gave out trainings, we conducted trainings for our teachers, so to give them an idea what the eLMS is all about and how they're going to use it. It was something that we wanted to make sure was implemented well from the beginning so that everybody gets to monitor the progress. So the students get to see their progress in the different competencies. The teachers also are able to see the progress of their students. This is a platform wherein the students and the teachers alike are able to collaborate their work, their learning experiences.
Well, since STI is a network of schools and we make use of a standardized curriculum, NEO helps us in distributing courseware materials and giving notifications and announcements to all the campuses of STI. As an administrator, NEO is incredibly helpful because it enables us to do analytics of the usage of our students, as well as do tracking of reports and for us to establish case studies. Since using NEO, it's so much easier to track the attendance, the grades of our students, and also we can see which students are having difficulty in which subjects because of the competency tracking and mastery. And also, we are able to provide them with intervention activities so that we can assess students and help them if they are struggling with their academics.
Our methodology is really based on an outcome-based approach, wherein we make sure that our students, the skills that they learn, are put into practice. These are exercises and activities wherein we make sure that whatever they apply are based on industry standards.
We encourage the teachers by making them realize the value of using the platform. So as a teacher, it makes their life easier because it lessens their paperworks. They get automated results as far as student quizzes are concerned. And also, as a training participant, it helps their skill development. Even after training, they can access modules, they can practice what they learned, and we can also track their performance after the training. My favorite features are the drip content. It allows you to release content in a sequential manner, so it doesn't give you the entire module at one time.
One of the most remarkable features of NEO LMS that goes beyond the usual classroom setting is that students can cope up with their lessons and they could even submit their assignments on time, even if they are not physically present in school. The students become more engaged and they are more participative during classroom discussion. With the help of the analytics in the NEO LMS, it's a tool to track students' progress. So by means of that, we could give them more activities in order for them to catch up with the lessons.
What I love about NEO is that it helps me to stay organized as a student. I can do my schoolworks even when I'm on the go. I don't need to always carry a laptop with me because it's accessible. I can have my phone and then it's just a touch of a finger. And I can review, I can submit papers, know my deadlines and my tasks, which is very handy for me.
Since STI takes an outcome-based education approach, we see to it that our students understand the lesson and apply it to their lives, especially when they do their assignments, outputs, and other projects. For me, the most helpful feature on NEO is that the files are secured. I can easily extract them anytime and wherever I may be. I am also confident enough that the students are aware of the deadlines and also our class schedules.
My teachers use NEO in a way that they make us students engaged and very interactive in class because we have this visual guide where we can actually see the things that they are explaining to us, discussing to us, so that way we're able to cope up with everything that they are explaining to us in class.
Feedback from our teachers is that currently they are able to appreciate it more because the exercises are there. So in the past, when there are students who are not able to cope up with the different activities, they have to come up with their own. But with the ELMS, when they tell us, can we have more activities and exercises on a particular competency, then because it's real time, in about a day or two, we are able to share it with them across the network. So the teachers are able to give more exercises, assessments, and different modules to help our students learn better and achieve the outcomes that we want them to achieve at the end of the day.